Really wish they'd cut it in half, but here's what we got. Bacon, sausage, egg, and tons of hash browns. This is just decadence. Hey crew, I've got the key, this itty bitty thing, to a Honda Civic Sport Touring Hatchback. This one right here. And today we're gonna see what it's like to live with. This video will be a little bit different than usual because I typically review brand new cars, but this one's actually a 22 model with almost 10,000 miles on the odometer. It's also more on the economical and practical side of what I typically spend time in. It was $32,000 when new. This one here is in Sonic Gray Pearl. I really like this color. And today on my agenda, I've got a lot of errands to run and a work lunch, but we'll start by seeing how this Civic sizes up in my driveway. So right now it's parked at a slight angle with the front tires being around 6 inches from the edge, parked next to this massive Cadillac Escalade V that my wife is reviewing, which is parked maybe 4 inches from the side. Even with this large of a vehicle though, we've got plenty of room in between the cars to walk through, wheel a stroller as my wife has been doing, and then hop inside. And as I go to open this door, I'll point out that we do have smart keyless entry, so I could leave the key fob in my pocket and still have the doors unlocked for me. As I open up that door, you can see one notch open here. Can we go for the second without hitting the Escalade? Just barely, yes, and that's a massive entry point for me, making it so easy to hop inside and say, hello cabin crew, thank you for joining me for this day in the life video with the Honda Civic Sport Touring Hatchback. I'm gonna find a spot for all my items here. I don't think this is going to fit, no, not in the door pocket. And these cup holders are large, but not large enough for my mega bottle. Still, this recessed cubby here will swallow that up. The key fob could kind of slot in one of the cup holders. My wallet and smartphone can stick in this very deep, though narrow cubby under the console. Actually, you know what? The smartphone can go on the wireless charging pad. And I've found spots for all my goodies as I then close up the door. And we do have the manual version of this car, so I'm gonna need to clutch in as I hit the start stop button. And that's all fired up, so I'm gonna throw on my seatbelt and make sure that my temperature is set just right. We've got dual zone climate and front seat heating. That sounds great. Into first gear we go. Down goes the electronic parking brake and away we go. The clearance on the front end with the gutter in my driveway is not an issue at all. Of course, the first thing we need to do while we're still in the neighborhood area is a turning radius and turn signal test. So we've got clearance, the wheel is cranked, and predictably the turning circle is excellent. Even as a front wheel drive vehicle where front wheels are being pushed out as they turn and power the vehicle, it's still a great turning circle, and the turn signal sound is a pleasant one. And a quick beep of the horn. It like carries, the sound carries. It's so jolly. I like the horn. I don't know if anyone else is gonna be intimidated, but it's a fun horn. Today's first item of business is quite possibly the most important. I need a breakfast burrito, and I want to get it from a great spot that I know of. It's just not terribly close, but that gives us plenty of time to talk about the ride quality and the seat comfort and using this manual transmission. The first thing I'll say about this gearbox is that Honda really knows how to make a great manual, so this car is easy to drive, even for people who don't have a lot of experience, but it does still take a little while to get used to finessing this clutch, because the engagement point is early on, but the release point is late, so you're on that pedal for quite a while before you're fully clear to go gas and release your foot from the clutch pedal. The transmission itself is excellent. The throws are not terribly long. There's a defined notch into each gear, so there's no mystery as to whether you're in the gear or not, and the path to each gear is clear. So you shouldn't have any trouble driving it. You'll just take some time getting used to driving it perfectly. Turning attention to ride quality, if you don't come looking for a luxury vehicle experience, you'll be very pleased with what the Civic delivers in terms of the composure over changes in surfaces and road blemishes. Like this one, the impacts, yes, you feel, but they don't jar you like they would in a super economy vehicle. This feels very well engineered. And so you don't go over construction and go, oh, this is gonna hurt. You just take it in stride and the vehicle bops along and you just keep moving comfortably, because these seats are pretty darn ergonomic. They shaped my body nicely. The only complaint I have with them is that while this touring trim has the leather seats and it's got power adjustments for driver and passenger, what they don't have, shockingly, is lumbar support, not even for just the driver. So I find myself after a while going, I'm getting old here. I need a little lumbar pillow or something. I need some support for the lower back. Around town, you'll really enjoy the grunt from this 1.5 turbo 4-cylinder. You have 180 horsepower and 177 pound-feet to play with. And it comes in early enough that you always have the passing power you'll need and a way to put a smile on your face, especially while rowing your own gears. The brakes are very well calibrated. You can smooth in your stops even when people aren't paying attention. I will say, while coasting here on this broken pit of road, you do hear some vibration from certain panels that may have become more pronounced as this car has added mileage compared to a brand new vehicle. Yeah, I hear a lot from the door panel here, kind of over my head. Not a deal breaker, but you know, something to keep in mind. And when you're going to be sitting at a stoplight for a while, of course, with a manual transmission, when you go into neutral, take your foot off the brake, you're not really going to roll anywhere. But if you were on a slight decline or incline, you would. But we've got a brake hold here, so I can just keep my foot off and I stay here without much work on my part. And we have finally arrived at the promised land of breakfast burritos, Nate's Corner. Oh yes. Are you ready for this? The best breakfast burrito, I think, in Orange County. Look at this monster. It is $15, but you're gonna see it's $15 worth of burrito. I got the sausage and bacon combo. Really wish they'd cut it in half, but here's what we got. Bacon, sausage, egg, and tons of hash browns. This is just decadence. Most important part of the day. There is one problem with this situation, and that is that, well, yeah, it's going everywhere, but I have somewhere to go. So I'm gonna have to figure out a solution here. The bottle's gonna go in. This is gonna have to go in the deep cubby there. And I'm gonna have to make this work. Salsa can hover. Belt is gonna go on. Do the one-handed hold, this is not a problem. Into reverse, that brings up a pretty low resolution backup camera, but you have other angles. I like the wide angle, you get an overhead view in the rear. And let's just back on out of here. Trajectory lines too, useful. This would be easier with the automatic, but we can make it work. I could only take down half right now, but I ate that half so quickly that I'm certain it will come back to bite me later. Now, I only took down half, not out of lack of willpower, but for the fact that I'm about to go eat more at a lunch with Buick. Our journey there does keep us on the highway for a while, so we can sort of simulate a commute in the Civic hatchback. I'll start by quieting up so we can listen for the NVH level at these speeds. Definitely a decent amount of ambient noise coming in from the wind, from the tires, from the road. This is a louder road surface, so if I had a passenger, I'd be raising my voice to share a conversation. But if I was just cranking the radio, and you do have a Bose sound system in this sport touring trim you could enjoy, I could tolerate this for sure. And we have some active safety features to join the excellent naked eye visibility of everything except for that back pillar where there is a blind spot. So use the standard blind spot monitoring. I'm going to turn on the adaptive cruise control system and set the following distance. I'll also turn on the steering assistance system. It's not a hands-free system, but it does attempt to track the center of the lane. I'll show you a departure of the lane, or an attempt to, and it will correct me. It doesn't ping pong me back, it holds the center of the lane. This is really handy if you're commuting for a while. But what about the stop and go traffic? With a manual transmission, is it a pain? Not really, because yes, you are having to engage and disengage the clutch and move the gear lever, but the clutch effort is really very light. So you're not gonna wear out your leg strength or your arm strength because the throws don't require that much effort either. We have now arrived, and Buick was kind enough to comp the valet parking. So I'm gonna do something I'm sure not a lot of Honda Civic hatchback buyers do, which is to valet park at a very fancy hotel. All right, here in the Lido house. This is quite the spread. It's my first time inside. Hey, Shauna. Don't mind the camera on my head. Just taking a peek at the Buick spread. This is really cool. Waiting for my wife, Christina, to show up with our 9-month-old, and we are going to tag team that so as we don't disturb anyone, and the presentation from Buick on the Envista, which is parked just out front. We'll see it in just a bit. And I know we're here for the Envista and the Encore GX, but I mean, how cool is this Woody right here? That is very rad. So yes, this is the new Envista, new for 24 in this copper color. This is, I think, the ST trim because it's got the black wheels. It's a little longer, a little wider, a little lower than that Encore GX over there. And honestly, this is kind of crazy. I'm very into this new Buick design language. The wildest part about these cars, this one starts at under $24,000. That's kind of fun. I like how it flares out like that. Do we have a volume knob? Yes, we do right here. So this is your digital gauge. This is your big infotainment screen. It's got the new Android operating system too. Leatherette seats here. Top and the back seats, see how much space there is. Like the flat bottom of the wheel. Ooh, it's nice and small diameter too. Sunroof up top, okay. As I said, under $24,000 to start. This one's the fully loaded. No, this is the ST. So this is the mid-range. This isn't even the fully loaded one. Wow. That's probably where I'd have my seat. Plenty of leg room. Head is just kind of resting against the roof line here. What's your Mobile Mama review, Christina?
I'm impressed with the space here. Like, this is good. I'm not as close to the top as you were,
yeah.
So I'm comfortable. Oh no, it's just like the
tracks with no head restraint in the middle.
Man.
That's a bummer. No armrest.
Okay, I do need to ask why they don't have a head restraint. But...
Okay, let's check out the trunk area. New Buick logo. Way better than the old one. So it's a 1.2 liter turbo 3-cylinder, makes 137 horsepower, 165 pound-feet of torque. Gosh, and I just love how it looks. All right, work lunch done. I ate, again, a little too much. Waited for the burrito to settle, and then I indulged, including in some chocolate cake. And we learned about the Buick Envista, which, honestly, I can't think of many brand new vehicles, new crossovers that start for under 24,000 bucks. And the one we checked out, the ST trim, was like 26 or 27. That's kind of a crazy deal. Can't wait to drive it to see how it actually holds up. Now we need to go do another errand. I've got a Costco run for this hatchback to show off its practicality. We have arrived at Costco, and now for perhaps the most difficult part of shopping at Costco: finding a parking space. Ooh, I think we've got something. Now to fend off the RX, I've got this one. Thank you, madame. All right, we got the load of staples, and I think they're gonna fit just fine in the trunk of the Civic. So let's see. We got the paper towels. Really, I should start with the heavy stuff, shouldn't I? I won't need this cargo cover for right now, so that can retract. Chippies are gonna be fine because that's not gonna slide around. It's gonna fit just on the inside there. And finally, the eggs. Do I take the risk and put them in the trunk, or do I put them in the passenger footwell? We know the answer to that. They're going in the footwell. Broken eggs, that's the worst. Put your carts back, people. We'll go 1 and 2, and it swallows all of that without me even needing to lower the rear seats. You gotta love hatchbacks. The lift back opening, So convenient. You know, before I do that final errand, which is to fuel up this car ahead of my night drive final thoughts, I want to spend just a sec looking at the exterior and interior highlights, see what you're dealing with every single day. I mentioned that I like this Sonic Gray Pearl paint job. What I didn't say is that I'm not such a fan of this interesting nose piece design there. These 18-inch dark painted wheels look fantastic. The profile of the hatchback doesn't scream hatchback, and I think I like that most about it. Not mad at the rear view as well. Practical, but conservative, and in fact, that's just a summary of the entire exterior of the Sport Touring hatchback. It is on the subtler side. Not something you're necessarily going to be proud of walking out to, like maybe the Mazda 3 hatchback, but certainly not something you should be embarrassed of. And as I open up that door all the way, we find a pretty nice access point here for you to load or unload a kiddo in the car seat, or for small kids to climb in and out, no problem. Leatherette padding for your arm, that's very nice, didn't cheap out with that. The door pocket is just kind of adequate, I suppose. Power windows, not one touch though, that's okay. Climbing in. Do bonk my head a little bit, so I have to lean forward to clear that roof line. Here behind my own seat, it's 6 feet tall. I've got plenty of knee room. No map pocket, unfortunately, it's just on the passenger side. The foot pockets are very large though, that matters even more, because the thigh support is solid. Head's just kind of pressing against the roof. I can't make it back to that headrest, so that's a little unfortunate. Let's try the middle seat, which is not raised up at all. I've got 2 USB-A ports right there. I've got better headroom here in the middle than I do on the sides. That like never happens. So I guess if you have a taller friend, stick him in the middle seat. Now I talked about some of the rattles I was hearing while driving, suggesting potential build quality issues, but let's listen to the door close noise. That sounds excellent. There are leather seats on the touring versions of the Civic. Hopping in, much easier to do than the back seats. The steering wheel has been caressed by hands for about 10,000 miles now, so it's got a little bit of sheen going on. The feeling of that wheel is excellent though. Nice small diameter, and it's not overly thick. Beyond that, we've got a digital gauge cluster. The infotainment screen is basic, but it's the right size and everything responds well. The dials for the climate controls feel excellent. I like the sound of the click. You got 2 USB-A ports. I wish we had a USB-C in here at this point in time. Guess this is a 22. The conversion's still happening. DC outlet, the wireless charging pad works very well. More of that textured plastic trim. So much prefer this to gloss black. The leather wrapping around the gear selector feels excellent in the hand. All the functions in this cabin are so easy to figure out. Okay, it's time to top up that tank. Ooh, we've got capless fueling. I love that. So the Civic Sport Touring hatchback with a manual is rated at 28 mpg in the city, 37 on the highway, and 31 combined. If you got that 31 combined rating, then this 12-gallon fuel tank would give you 372 miles on a tank. I've been seeing around 29 miles per gallon, still good though. And when you're fueling up, if we're looking at premium fuel is $5.27. It's gonna cost you around 63 bucks for a full tank. All right, crew, I've got the Honda Civic Sport hatchback back out for a night drive as I summarize my thoughts on what it's like to live with. The short story on the Civic Sport hatchback is that it is actually delightful to spend some quality time with this vehicle. But if I were to be a picky man, then I might point to the design, which is not unattractive necessarily. It's just not something that would fill me with pride walking out to greet it every day from my home, or walking out to see it in the parking lot after work. I also might address the vibrations I was getting from certain panels on certain roads. Not all roads, just some of them. And finally, I would say, hey, taller riders in the back seats, especially the back side seats, will be brushing their heads on the roof and therefore may not want to spend a whole lot of time back there. But those are about all the holes I could poke in terms of living with a Civic hatchback, because you've got this nice peppy turbo 4-cylinder paired with an easy to use and in certain applications engaging manual transmission. Largely excellent visibility out of the front, the side windows, and even the back. That little blind spot being taken care of with the standard blind spot monitoring, and as we're seeing here, the adaptive high beams working perfectly. This cabin feels very upscale for the money, especially the sport touring trim with the leather trim seats that are power adjusting, though I wish they did have lumbar control. And the fit and finish of all the dials and switches and buttons is really premium as well. The technology is very user-friendly. This infotainment screen is not just responsive to touch, but it also has physical redundancies, and the digital gauge cluster is easy to read. And go figure, a hatchback is practical and convenient to load and unload cargo, but it's more than that with the Civic Sport Hatch, because this interior design is very versatile. Please don't crash Infiniti Q50. The interior design is very versatile for loose item storage. You always have a good spot to put whatever you brought with you, whether that's just a large water bottle or a massive breakfast burrito. I really enjoyed spending time with this car, and I would without question live with it every single day. I hope you guys have enjoyed this POV, what it's like to live with, day in the life with a 22 Honda Civic Sport Hatchback. And if you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and share the video. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell to get notified, and I will see you again next time.